Welcome back. It is 11:30 p.m., July 9th. Captain's log, stardate 7.42.1. I got a lot done today. I had an excellent day today. I got a bunch of work done on the game, which I'm going to show in a second. I decided on the logo for my company, which I basically did yesterday already when I showed that stuff, but I officially sent the email to the calligrapher and let him know, sorry bro, I'm going with my own handwriting. And, just other stuff, hit the gym, more on that to come later, and gonna go for a walk after I finish this video too. That was the one thing I didn't do, and got an idea for a TikTok I'm gonna do while I'm out there too. So, anyway. Let's check out what I did on the game. What you're looking at here is level 5. I finished adding in, pretty much set up all the environment properly. I mean, there's still a lot to do. I gotta finish the rest of this roofing, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. Need to put the obstacles and some other objects and stuff in there. That's looking pretty nice. Let's give it a run. Seems like the guys, they try to run at you if you aren't, if you're too far from them, they try to run at you. Right now, I think their distance is a bit much. See what I mean? The guy's head came up there too. Alright. Anyway, it's looking pretty sick. Gonna keep fleshing that out tomorrow. Hopefully have the whole level finished by tomorrow, actually. Yeah. Should have more time to do work tomorrow because I'm not up quite as late, so hopefully I'll go to bed a little earlier tonight. Final words there. Well, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Final words? Famous words? Whatever. But yeah. It's coming along well. Hopefully I keep this pace up. I should be able to have the whole first act done environmentally in like probably a couple weeks. The only thing is the boss fight, which I'll probably have to redesign from the ground up because so much has changed since I did that. And I noticed also the dodge ability, because once you now get into these levels where the ranged enemy is part of it, once you get into the levels that have these ranged enemies, the rooms start to get a lot bigger. And I've noticed that the dodge ability is now very useful because of that. I mean, the dodge ability is already useful, but now it has like another use, and it's pretty crucial to use it to move around the room really fast if you want to do that. And the dodge was something that I added later in development after I had already designed these levels. So it's nice to see that it's synergizing well with my current design so that I don't have to redo a bunch of stuff. Even with that level already, I was actually thinking the rooms might be a little bit small, which I can fix probably by just making the actual sprites for the room a little bit bigger. So I might do that, I don't know, but it's probably okay for now. And yeah. That's all I got to say about my work for today. As for the topic of conversation, I wanted to offer some advice on working out because I have been consistently keeping up a good workout routine and a good diet, and I have been in excellent shape for at least 5 years now. So I feel like I've got some good advice to offer there. So when I first started working out, I had absolutely no muscles and I'd never done it before. And the way I started, actually the thing that's interesting the most interesting for me, the best takeaway is just the general idea of building habits. Because most of the habits I built in my life, positive or negative, I feel like they were all built in an unhealthy and inconsistent way, where I would dive headfirst into something for a short period of time, like go really crazy for a few weeks, and then you get burned out and tired of it, and I would stop doing it and not do it at all for a couple of months. Then I would jump back into it and be like super obsessed with it, and then I would stop again. So that's how I did a lot of things until eventually it sticks, and then I'm doing it consistently. But this is a very long, very inefficient process, and it can be very frustrating. Working out at the gym is the one habit that I built in a slow, efficient, and consistent manner. I started by picking, I think 2, maybe even just 1, but I think 2 days per week of just 20 or 30 minutes at some point in the day. And I started by doing chin-ups. I bought a chin-up bar, and I was shocked to discover at 27 years old or something like that I couldn't do a single chin-up. Absolutely crazy. When you're a little kid, you can do tons of them, right? Even if you never exercise or anything. So it kind of blew my mind the first time I ever tried to do one when I was older, and I found that I couldn't. So I learned from, actually, I'll even give a recommendation, this guy on YouTube. I don't even know if he still makes videos. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I first learned all this stuff from a guy called Scooby something. And he's this somewhat flamboyant gay dude who's just like super jacked. And anyway, he makes fantastic videos, and he's a guy, I guess, who for most of his life he described himself as not being very athletic or anything like that. So he gives really great advice from the perspective of someone where like you're just trying to figure out how to get healthy in the first place, right? One thing to also mention is my motivation for doing this was I always wanted to do this just to build it as a habit. Like I just wanted to be healthy and in good shape, and that was all there was to it. So one thing that I think is maybe a little different about that is a lot of guys, I think, get into working out just trying to get super jacked, and they get kind of competitive about it, and they're all about constantly building more and more muscle. And I feel like those kinds of guys, though, tend to be in good shape for certain periods of their life. Like they're in really good shape just like 2 or 3 times in their life, and otherwise they're kind of whatever. And I wanted to turn this more into a consistent habit that I would keep up for my entire life. So part of what's maybe a little different about how I do things is that I don't care about most of the things that bodybuilder, or not bodybuilder even, but just like whatever, like gym rat type people obsess over. I get in the gym 30-40 minutes now. At this point, I go every single day. And I'm at the point where I do 30-40 minutes a day. I get in there as fast as possible and I get out. I don't even like doing it. But because I turned it into this thing I do every day, it's such a natural part of my routine that I do it anyway. Of course, it feels great when you're finished doing it. But it's like not even a hobby for me. It's not something I enjoy doing. It's just like showering or brushing your teeth or whatever. So that was my goal with that. And so maybe this will help someone out who's interested in accomplishing that. So yeah, I started off by picking 1 or 2 days a week where I would do chin-ups, and having learned this from Scooby YouTube guy, I did assisted chin-ups. So this is where you put a chair up in front of the bar so that you can climb up, and you start from the very top of the chin-up, and then you slowly let yourself down, and then you climb back onto the chair and you repeat this, and you do it over and over again, and that's how you start to build up the muscles that you need to be able to do it on your own. And when you first start working out, I'm going to describe everything under the assumption that you're completely clueless, because I was. When you first start out, if you've never built any kind of muscle before, you get what I believe they call noob gains, where if you have no muscles and you start working out, you grow your first muscles like really, really fast. So within a couple of weeks or so, you'll probably already have just enough to be able to do your first chin up on your own, and you'll see changes in your body really quickly as well. So yeah, and after that, I just kept doing that. And once I got to the point where I could do 1 or 2 on my own, I started mixing it up, where I would do like as many as I can on my own, and then I would do the rest with the assisted, with the chair, the assisted way. And I would always do maybe like 5 sets of 10 reps. And yeah, and that's it. That's all there was to it. And I did that for months and you could see the difference already in my upper body until eventually got to a point where I could tell there was nothing else I could do with this. And I didn't do anything else, by the way. I didn't do any other exercise. No push-ups, no sit-ups, no like nothing. I literally just did chin-ups for like 3 months, twice a week. Until finally I decided to step things up because I couldn't really do anything else from that point on. So I went to the gym for the first time. I worked for a few months with a personal trainer, but they're super expensive and it's really not necessary. I only did it to learn everything I needed to learn to be able to do everything on my own. But honestly, I feel like all of this stuff, you can learn it online for free. The only stuff that's honestly even really important is if you decide to do something like deadlifts or squatting, just to make sure that you do it properly so that you don't break your back or something like that. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, dude, it doesn't even matter. This is the thing. It doesn't even matter what you do. All that matters is that whatever you decide to do, you can feel that it's hitting the muscle that you want to grow, and just do that until you're exhausted. And then give yourself a break for a minute or so, and then do it again. And you just keep doing that over and over. And all the specifics of it is all stuff that is great if, like I said, you're being competitive, you really care about like absolutely optimizing your maximum muscle growth. But if you just want to grow muscles, be in shape, and learn a routine that can keep you in shape, just find whatever exercises you can that will hit as many different muscles as you can. Stuff like, so for me, I like a lot of calisthenic stuff, which is anything where you just use your body weight. Super cheap, don't even need a gym. Stuff like sit-ups, push-ups, planking, chin-ups, whatever. I mean, I guess you need a bar for chin-ups, but whatever. Super easy to find that, right? Because a lot of those exercises, they hit like almost all your muscles to some extent in your upper body. And if you just do those things, you'll see a huge difference. And it's really all you need to do if you're just trying to stay in shape and you don't care about anything else. You'll get obviously to a point where if you keep doing the same things over and over again like I do, and I literally do the exact same things every single day. I mean, like I switch it up on like certain specific days. I mean, like I do a couple days a week, I do my upper body, and then on one day I do my legs and my back. So I have different days for like different muscle groups, but on those days, the exercises I do is the exact same ones every single time. If you're trying to maximize your muscle growth, this isn't great because eventually you get to a point where it's not going to stimulate your muscles as much anymore. Like you get used to doing it. So when you're trying to grow your muscles, you need to switch it up with new exercises every once in a while, maybe once a month or once every couple of months. But if you're like me and all you care about is being healthy and staying in shape, you can literally do the exact same things over and over again. I can tell you now, after 5 years of literally never changing anything, that I'm still in the exact same shape I've been in for that entire time. Like nothing has ever changed for me. I haven't lost muscle. In fact, I still grow muscle a little bit, very, very slowly, but it's there. I'm not a big guy, by the way. I'm only 140 pounds, so not super huge, not crazy strong, but like, you know, welcome to the gun show here, right? It's nothing crazy, but for my body size, I'm like a naturally thin person. It's like just enough. And yeah, and I don't know. And over time, I do cardio as well. That's also important, but that's mostly just like for heart health. I have read from studies that doing cardio also helps to maintain your muscles. So there you go. So I do cardio 4 times a week, and I do the weightlifting 3 times a week. And if you start off really slowly and simply like I did, with the bare minimum that you know you can do, literally 20, 40, 60 minutes a week and nothing more than that, you'll already see a huge difference. And then you can just slowly build it up after that. And I don't know, it just happened naturally for me that at a certain point I found myself doing it every day. And it really is, when you build it up slowly like that and you get into that habit, it really does become like any other routine thing that you do. Like on days, you know how you don't take a shower, you don't brush your teeth, you can feel the griminess, right? Like you just feel like something is off. And that's what the gym is like for me now. Like if I don't work out on a certain day, it just feels weird. Like something's wrong, you know what I mean? I just feel, I don't know, like something's missing. So yeah, it becomes like an impulse thing. And I don't even particularly enjoy doing it, but It's just a part of what I do, other than the enjoyment of the feeling you get afterwards when you're all relaxed and your muscles are all tired out. So, besides being in good shape and all that, the other part of it is my body looks like it was chiseled by the gods. But that is not because of the working out. That is because of diet. And that's the one that's a little bit trickier, because with the gym stuff, the exercising, like I said, you don't even have to think much about it. Like, just make yourself do something and you'll see muscle growth and you'll feel better. But the diet part is a bit trickier. I sat down one day. So first of all, let me start off once again with the assumption that you're clueless, as I was. You have what's called a maintenance calorie count. So it's the number of calories where if you eat that every single day, you will always stay the exact same weight. If you eat a little bit more than that, you'll gain weight. If you eat less, you'll lose weight. So the key for getting super ripped is eating a little bit less than you actually need to lose weight, but at the same time, eating a ton of protein. So protein is what you need that keeps your muscles intact and which grows them. And if you can eat a lot of protein while at the same time eating less calories than you need, like maybe 15, 20% less, you can look your maintenance calorie count up on Google. There's tons of stuff for it. You will lose weight without losing your muscle, and your body does that by burning fat, and that is how you become super toned and lean. And I sat down one day and I learned a lot of my meals from this Scooby guy as well. He actually has like a meal plan website you can check out too, but I kind of just learned the basics of how to make really super quick, easy to make meals, because I really don't have time throughout the day, and I'll tell you some of them. And I sat down one day and and this is the part of it that's hard, is to really keep this up, you have to be willing to eat really simple and to eat really consistently. Like, you need to pay attention to what you're eating, at least for a little while, until you get used to the kind of stuff that you can eat. So much like going to the gym, my typical diet is actually the exact same thing every single day. And it is quite plain. So I sat down one day, and this is really what you need to do if you want to take it this far. I sat down one day and I actually counted out exactly how many calories I'm consuming based on what I typically eat. I looked at exactly how much protein I'm getting and all that stuff. And then I came up with a diet plan of what can I eat every day, what will each meal be that will count up to the exact number of calories I want while keeping the protein sufficiently high. And and that's it. And then once I had that figured out, now anytime I want to burn a little fat or lose weight, I just have to remove a little bit from what I eat every day. And anytime I want to gain some, I just add a little bit. And it makes it super easy, but it does require some dedication for a few days to figure it out. So anyway, yeah, it requires you to sit down and really meticulously figure out what you're going to eat and how you're going to do it. And for me, well, I'll walk you through my typical day. My breakfast is 2 eggs, a handful of almonds and a couple walnuts, and a banana. Shortly after that, kind of like a lunch-ish, I guess it's kind of like lunch, yeah, I eat 2 eggs, 2 scrambled eggs, and a few slices of bread, preferably some kind of like natural whole wheat bread, with a bunch of all natural peanut butter. Then I eat a bowl of lentils, 2 servings of lentils, and a shit ton of vegetables. I'm gonna tell you a little secret about eating tons of vegetables in a second, because this changed my life. And then after that, a while after that, a few hours later, I eat another bowl of, well, it's basically the exact same meal, another big ass bowl of lentils with a ton of vegetables, but this time like a different mix of vegetables. And then I follow that up with an avocado. And then finally, my last meal of the day is usually a big bowl of beans and usually a ton of either spinach or kale. And yeah, that's what I eat every day. And there are no sauce, no spices. I use some salt and pepper on my eggs, and that's basically it. And I eat that shit every single day. Once or twice a week, I replace the beans with salmon or beef, but almost always salmon. And yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it. And that's all you need, baby. Now, this can be harder or easier depending on how much you weigh, because I'm 5'9", 140 pounds. How much you weigh and also how tall you are, right? 5'9", 140 pounds. So for me, it's pretty easy. I eat like, I don't know, maybe 2,200 to 2,400 calories a day, and that's all I need to stay in the awesome shape I'm in, and I can eat less than that if I need to burn some fat. You might need more if you're tall, right? Or even less if you're short. Now, the veggies. This is the key thing. What changed my life when it comes to vegetables is frozen vegetables. You go to the store, you buy a huge sack of these frozen vegetables, you can find them anywhere, and you put them in a microwave safe container as much as you want. I usually use a glass container, plastic might not be so good. And you microwave it for a few minutes, and you got yourself a shit ton of steamed vegetables. This blew my mind when I discovered this, because I always wanted to eat a lot of vegetables, but it's such a pain in the ass because you got to chop them all up, and they can go really bad even in your fridge within like a few days if you don't use them. And you got to take time to boil water and steam them if you want and all that stuff. So when I found this out, I was ecstatic. Frozen veggies it's exactly the same thing as steaming veggies if you just microwave them. And in fact, they are nutritionally apparently as good as, if not better than, fresh vegetables, because all the nutrients get frozen in and none of them get lost as long as they're sitting in your freezer. And then microwaving it, I think you're supposed to add like a tiny bit of water to the container when you microwave them to help steam them better. I don't even bother doing that anymore. I find that the ice, like all the condensed ice on the vegetables themselves, like that itself just melts down and turns into the water that helps steam the vegetables. So yeah, you put it in your microwave a few minutes and you got yourself steamed veggies, and you just throw a big ass bowl of steamed veggies into every meal you eat, and you can eat tons of it, man. I get like 6, 7, 8 servings every day now. And yeah, that's my whole diet. So if you can sit down, if you can take a day off and figure out, obviously you can switch it up if you want, you can get more complicated with it, but I'm just so like, I eat for sustenance, not pleasure during the week. When I go out, that's different. And I'm not always consistent. I have my days, as I've shown you here before, where I get lazy and I order out and all that. But on a typical week, typical days, that's what I eat. And yeah. And I can't understate also how when I first started doing this, I discovered really how drastic of a difference it makes in how you feel when you're eating healthy and exercising all the time. And especially also if you're sleeping better. That one's always been a rough one for me, but but yeah, even just the good food and the regular exercise, it makes such a big difference in how you feel overall. Drinking lots of water too, of course, that's important. Let me do that right now. And one of the more interesting things I also learned from doing this, and which you will yourself as well if you decide to do this, is it really gives you insight into why people get fat and why people who eat healthy are pretty much never fat. Because eating a lot of healthy food, you'll discover if you do this, is really hard because it's so nutrient dense and it fills you up so fast. And the same amount of calories of like junky fried foods or like lots of carbs or whatever, if you look at just a picture of how much food you get in like, let's say like 1,000 calories, okay? Like a Big Mac meal from McDonald's. It's just a burger and fries and I guess a drink, and you'd think it wouldn't be that much. But if you were to think of the equivalent amount of calories from a Big Mac meal compared to, let's say, a bowl of lentils, the amount of lentils would like make you sick to your stomach. Like it would be a huge fucking bowl of lentils. So you get what I'm saying? Like the equivalent amount of a healthy, fresh food meal in terms of like the raw amount of food on the plate is so much bigger if you have the exact same calorie count compared to like fried foods or like something that has tons of carbs in it or something like that. And so you see the difference, and you eat something like a McDonald's meal and you feel hungry again in a couple hours. It's all just empty. There's just it just doesn't have as much good shit in it, right? And so it's not as satisfying. It doesn't last as long. And if you try, I honestly think like you have to try to eat more than what you need if you're eating really healthy all the time. Like it makes you fucking sick, man. It's it's just really hard to do. And I honestly think it's almost impossible to get fat if you're eating like a really strict clean diet like that. So anyway, it's kind of interesting to discover that. And once you do this, if you do this also, you get really good at being able to eyeball things. Like before, I was always measuring by the gram every single thing I was eating. It was pretty nuts. I actually just popped into my head. I remember I was dating a girl once who saw me doing that, like measuring my stuff out. She was like, "Yeah, you're the only person I've ever met who like measures every single thing you fucking eat." But I stopped doing it only because my scale finally broke after a few years, and I realized that I've been doing this so long, like I can easily eyeball everything that I'm eating now. So that's the other thing too, is you get a good sense of just not even in the foods you eat, but in general, just by spending a good few days or a week or so carefully counting out the calories of everything you eat, you'll start to get a good idea of how many calories are involved in almost any meal, and you can easily eyeball things. And that's the thing too, is you don't have to be so obsessive about that either. Is once you get, like, I probably took it to another level, but once you get a good idea of like the numbers involved and what that looks like in terms of portions and whatnot, like you don't really even have to obsess over that either. Like I don't think that much anymore about how much protein I'm getting or whatever. I just make sure that as long as I'm eating the kinds of foods that I'm eating, that it has the stuff that I need in it. And yeah, and you don't have to obsess over it. And also, if a couple times a week you change it up a bit or you try something different, like, it's not going to make a big difference, right? It's about your overall pattern over the long term. But yeah, you do it long enough, and you can, I'm telling you, it doesn't even take too long also, man. Even when I recently, good example, back when, so about a month ago, oh no, this wasn't the demo. No, this was, I think, when I first announced the game. I totally screwed up my whole routine, and I was eating so much takeout and stuff, and I put on an extra, like, I want to say 10 pounds, possibly more. I think I put on like 12 pounds or something like that. It was the heaviest I'd been in years. And finally I got my shit together and I went back on my clean diet. And honestly, it took me like, I want to say like a month and a half to bring myself back down to 140 again and be right back into the shape I was. And that's also part of the beauty of this, is if you can stick to this and figure this out, is you get like such fine-tuned control over your weight. Like because you know exactly what you need and you can just tune it up or down anytime you need to. And yeah, it just gives you a sense of power, and it's cool. It's cool to be able to see that you kind of get in tune with how your body works and what it needs and what makes you feel good. And yeah, it's pretty sweet. So I highly recommend it. And of course, it's not easy to do. I'm a single dude with no family to take care of or anything like that, or any responsibilities other than to myself. So it's easy for me to be able to take a day off and obsess over this stuff. Obviously, if you've got a really busy life, it's not so easy to follow all of this. But I highly recommend doing it even just once, even if you're not going to be quite as insane about it as I was, just as the learning experience. And you'll still probably in general be able to significantly improve your lifestyle if you try it out even just for a week or so and get some takeaways from it. Also, it's a lot cheaper, bro. Like lentils and beans, man, you can buy like several days worth of lentil meals. If you can handle eating that boring, you can buy like 4 or 5 days worth of meals of just beans and lentils for like $2, $3, $4. You know, it's super cheap as well. Yeah, and I had one last thing I was gonna say. What did I just forget? I can't remember now. So anyway, speaking of all that, tomorrow is I realized that one thing I got to be careful about here is I have a limited budget for my game, right? And I've set aside and calculated exactly how much money I got for the game and how much money I got to survive for myself. And because of all the takeout and shit I've been eating, I basically, like tomorrow, I pretty much have to change my life. I've been using too much money on like takeout and stuff. So tomorrow I gotta change it. Tonight's the last night. I'm allowing myself because I did a great job today and I got everything in line with my routine. So I'm gonna give myself one last meal. I'm gonna go for the healthier meal. Gonna go for the sushi after I go for my little walk here, and then tomorrow it's back to the strict thing. You can see my look at my avocados and bananas waiting for me. I think a couple of them might have been sitting out too long. I don't know. I might have to toss them, but it's mostly good. I felt like I had something else to say, but I can't remember. I don't know. I forgot what it was. So my final note will be don't drink anything but water. That was the one thing I forgot to mention. All right, peace.